Calling to order the Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 Newport News Planning Commission meeting. Please perform roll call.
Commissioner Woodard,
Present.
Commissioner Michelle,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Shook,
Present.
Commissioner Dias,
Present.
Commissioner Black,
Here.
Commissioner Bowditch,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Shook, we have a quorum.
Okay, next we'll have the reading of the Planning Commission Creed by Commissioner Black.
The Newport News Planning Commission is mandated by state law and its members are appointed by City Council. Section 15.2-2210 of the Code of Virginia states in part that every locality shall create a planning commission in order to promote the orderly development of the locality and its environment. The statutory purpose is to improve the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare of the citizens and to plan the future development of the communities. In serving this statutory purpose, the Commission invites the comments at the public hearing of its interested citizens of matters before it and welcomes your presence.
You going to make the motion?
Oh, I move that we adopt the agenda before us.
Second.
All those in favor, voice vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the invocation given by Commissioner Williams.
God, we just ask you right now that as we serve our, ask you that as we serve our community, that we are given and empowered by your grace and your mercy as we hear everyone speak on behalf of for what is best for Newport News. Lead us, guide us, and direct us in those things that will best improve our city and may bring glory to you. And we ask it all in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Next will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Michaud.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is a review of the minutes from the last Planning Commission meeting. Are there any additions, modifications to the minutes as presented?
Move that the minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor, voice vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is, we're coming to the public hearing. We have a conditional change of zoning, CZ 2025 Tech 0002, Camp Morrison Associates LP and DR Horton Incorporated, to be presented by planner Saul Gleiser.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, as you said, we have application ZC 2025-0001 for a change of zoning from R9 mixed use and neo-traditional overlay with proffers to R9 mixed use and neo-traditional overlay with proffers. Camp Morrison Associates LP is the current owner, and D. Arch Horton Inc. is the applicant. The properties are located at 420, 501, 623, and 641 Export Circle and contain a total of 108.9 acres. Currently, all structures within the property are vacant. North of the property, we have Warwick Village Apartments and the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church and School on property zone C1 Retail Commercial. East, we have the CSX railroad tracks, single-family homes, Zone R3 single-family dwelling, and Hines Middle School on property zone P1 Park. South, we have the city-owned stormwater best management practices retention basin, Trees R Us on property zone M1 light industrial, and the North Hilton single-family neighborhood on properties zone R4 single-family dwelling. Finally, west, we have Warwick Village Shopping Center and Warwick Shopping Center on property C1 retail commercial, and the Dutch Village Apartments on property zone R7 medium density multiple family dwelling. The One City, One Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan land use map designate mixed use uses for these properties. The property is within the boundaries of the Greater Hilton Area Plan and is noted as a planning opportunity site. The submitted application supports the plan's goals of exploring specific redevelopment opportunity areas. The property remained M1 light industrial after the citywide rezoning became effective on August 1st, 1997. On February 26, 2013, City Council approved conditional rezoning CZ 13338, changing the zoning from M1 light industrial to R9 mixed use with a neo-traditional overlay for a 639 residential unit development with 13 proffers titled Hilton Commons. The property is currently governed by that zoning classification. As amended on September 12, 2014, and then April 2nd, 2015. These amendments slightly change the area covered by the master plan, but retain the overall master plan and design guidelines. A rezoning is necessary because the applicant is proposing a substantially different master plan from the one that currently governs the development on the property. Section 45, 3405 of the zoning ordinance permits a property owner to offer proffers at the time of application for a change of zoning. If accepted by City Council, these proffers become conditions that will govern and must be met during the development and use of the property. The intent of the neo-traditional overlay district is to foster the development of well-planned, mixed-use, pedestrian-oriented developments. The overlay requires that a pattern book or guidelines, which provides design guidelines, be submitted with the conceptual master plan. These guidelines will assure that the development within the district follows the intended character and design principles that govern the development. With these, there are no minimum lot areas, lot dimensions, or yard regulations. height regulations, or transitional buffer areas are not required in this type of rezoning. This allows for the plan to determine the lot size and density, as well as provide creativity for the creation of unique developments. The Department of Engineering, Transportation Division, has reviewed and accepted the Traffic Impact Analysis, TIA, prepared by BHP, Inc., dated January 21st, 2025, and agrees with their findings. The applicant has proffered the improvements and other actions listed in the TIA. The applicant has also entered into a right-of-way dedication agreement with the EDA to allow the developer to construct new roadways through the shopping center that will connect the development to Warwick Boulevard at Elm Avenue, Cedar Lane, and Nelson Drive. The Department of Engineering Civil Design Division noted that prior to any development, the property must meet all requirements for stormwater runoff and sanitary sewer connections. The applicant has proffered conformance with the city stormwater management regulations. Additionally, it has noted that the development will require a sanitary pump station. The pump station must be completed and operational prior to any occupancy. Newport News Public Schools has reviewed the proposal and expressed no concerns with meeting capacity. The Department of Codes Compliance, Fire, Public Works, Water Works, Police, Parks and Recreation, and Development have no objection to this request. The Camp Morrison Industrial Park sits on the original site of the 1917 Air Service Depot for the U.S. Army of the same name. The current structures were constructed between 1930 and 1940s as warehouses for the Army, and since then have served a variety of warehouse and industrial uses. Prior to the 2013 rezoning, the owners, in consultation with the community, proposed to develop a master plan and guidelines that would benefit the overall community. Although there was some hesitancy on the part of many residents, especially at the prospect that once the property was rezoned, any subsequent future rezonings would seek to replace the proffers and guidelines and lessen the quality and type of development. The overall community was supportive, and the change of zoning was approved on February 26, 2013. Currently, the site is 100% vacant with little improvements or maintenance provided. Some of the buildings have been demolished due to their advanced deteriorated condition or fires that have occurred. The developer is offering 10 proffers that will govern the development of the property, along with the proposed master plan, Morrison Station, conceptual master plan, dated May 7th, 2025. The proffers limit the number of residential dwellings to no more than 638, or about 2 units per acre. The applicant also proffers that all development will be in keeping with the design guidelines for Morrison Station. The proposed residential development is in general conformance with the goals and recommendations of the city's recently completed Newport News, Virginia housing study. The development, as recommended, will aid in the pursuit of housing production of all types to meet sufficient demand. The proposal includes several different housing types: detached single-family townhomes, duplexes, and quadplexes, some of which will likely be priced within the missing middle alluded to in the study. The attached for sale units are considered the missing middle, as they enable someone to move from an apartment in the vicinity or a smaller unit within the same general community and purchase a home and eventually be able to move to a larger detached home. The developer stated that townhomes would be priced in the mid-400,000s, while single-family units would start from the mid-500,000s. Neo-traditional, new urbanist developments are communities that are master planned based on patterns of traditional, pedestrian-oriented 18th and early 19th century European and American villages. Typically, neo-traditional developments integrate a mixture of uses and a wide range of housing types. Streets in these developments tend to be narrower, with sidewalks, street trees, and avoid the proliferation of garages facing the street. Central to the new urbanist design principles are community parks and civic spaces that are easily accessible to pedestrians. As has been the case since the property was originally rezoned, the parcel at the entrance of the development has been reserved for commercial uses. It is expected that this area will be developed during phase 2 as an entertainment site. The proposed development will have a total of 638 residential units, which is one less unit from the original plan. There will be 201 single-family units, a majority of which will be in lots that are 3,780 square feet, roughly 42 by 90 feet, with a few of them being slightly larger at 4,860 square feet, going up to 56 feet wide lots. The plan calls for 60 of the 201 single-family units to have rear-loaded garages, and the remaining 141 to have side or front-loaded garages. No more than 3 consecutive homes can be front-loaded, somewhat minimizing the disruption of the sidewalks. Townhome lots will all be 20 feet wide with some variation on lot length. The two-story and mixed 2- and 3-story lots will be 79 feet long or 1,580 square feet, while the 3-story lots will be slightly shorter at 70 feet long or 1,400 square feet. All 237 townhomes will be rear-loaded, and there will be no more than 4 units together. This will ensure continuous sidewalks in keeping with the neo-traditional principles. The plan also proposes 96 duplexes with lots that are about 5,760 square feet or 64 by 90 feet, which means 30 feet wide per unit. All duplexes will have front-loaded garages. The proposed units will have a shared porch between the 2 car garages, which will be then the main architectural feature of the first floor facade. This results in expanses that are car-oriented rather than the pedestrian-oriented street fronts advocated in the new urbanist development. Finally, the plan proposes 1-story quadplexes that are suitable for seniors. However, a senior-designated complex has not been proffered. There will be a total of 56 units with shared driveways and small courtyards between the units. The quadplexes are considered condominium units. I must note that all lot sizes are considerably smaller than those proposed under the original plan. The proposed guidelines provide typical examples of architectural details and features, as well as materials that should be followed by the developer to create a cohesive yet vibrant mix of 2 to 3-story structures featuring porches and stoops. The materials are the same as originally proposed. As proffered, all development shall be planned, designed, located, and built in accordance with the guidelines, with the design standards contained in the Morrison Station Design Guidelines. A design review committee will be established prior to the construction of any structure. The committee shall consist of a project architect retained by the developer, a representative of D.R. Horton, Inc., and a representative of the Morrison Station Homeowners Association. The committee will review and approve all structures for compliance with the design guidelines. A certification of approval shall be submitted to the Director of Planning for approval prior to receiving a building permit. In contrast, the previously approved proffers provided a design review committee with 6 members, which in addition to the architect, the developers, and homeowners, included a member of the city's professional staff and a representative each from the surrounding residential and business communities. The open space plan features an interconnected system of streets and open spaces that include recreational open space, passive open spaces, trails, a dog park, and multiple purpose lawns. The proposed plan has reconfigured the park and open space areas, providing pockets of open space throughout the development. The amenity green space plan will cover about 21 acres, with 7 of those 21 acres counting towards perimeter buffers. 2 acres will be dedicated to stormwater management, in addition to approximately 12 acres for parks, green space, and other amenities. As with the original plan, the new proposal calls for a city park. Previously, the approximately 4.5-acre park was centrally located within the development. However, the new proposal calls for a much smaller park, 2.5-acre, located at the main entrance to the development so that it can be easily accessible to all citizens. The park will be built as part of Phase 1 and then dedicated to the city. Interior to the development, the plan calls for a 2-acre linear park that includes a clubhouse and swimming pool. This centrally located interior park will be surrounded with units that have rear-loaded garages, creating a pedestrian-friendly area within the development. Included within the amenities is the 1.6-acre parcel at the entrance of the development that has been set aside for an entertainment venue, recreation site that is not defined and is to be developed by others. The original Hilton Common Plan had reserved this area for some type of office use. Overall, the proposed amenities plan provides a system of open spaces that are more evenly distributed throughout the development than the original plan. The proposed road network presents interior roads with 60-foot and 50-foot rights-of-way. The roads with the 50-foot right-of-way are shorter, with no on-street parking, and mainly provide access to the alleys and neighborhood roadway network, while the roads with the 60-foot right-of-way allow for on-street parking on one side and traverse the development, providing vehicular links between the different residential areas and amenities throughout the development. The 50-foot rights-of-way call for sidewalks and green strip with trees between the road and the sidewalk. The main 60-foot rights-of-way provide the 5-foot sidewalk directly abutting the roadway, with trees placed between the sidewalk and the proposed lots. However, the location of street trees should be between the sidewalk and the curb to reduce the possible pedestrian and vehicular accidents. The plan calls for the reconfiguration of the current property entrance on Warwick Boulevard to align with Elm Avenue as a main entrance into the development. The main entrance will be complemented with new roads that will be designed and constructed by the developer and will allow access through the adjacent shopping center from Cedar Lane as well as Nelson Drive. These proposed realignments and improvements are the subject of a right-of-way dedication agreement between the developer and the Economic Development Authority. As proffered, the developer shall be responsible for completing traffic improvements as listed in the Morrison Station traffic impact analysis. Although not specifically proffered, per the Department of Engineering, a private pump station will be required to meet sanitary flow from the project. Stormwater management was conceptually addressed in the original master plan. However, that concept could not be implemented in a way that handled the actual needs of the property. The new proposal has taken into consideration those needs and stormwater requirements that had an impact on the overall development. The developer has proffered the submission of an overall drainage analysis for the redevelopment of the property for review and approval by the city for conformance with the stormwater management regulations. A development plan will be required prior to any construction activity on the property. In conclusion, the proposed change of zoning is consistent with the One City, One Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan land use map, as well as with the Greater Hilton Area Plan, and will allow for the creation of a new premier residential development in an area of the city well suited for housing. Based on comparisons with the original rezoning, the number of units has remained roughly the same. And as originally planned, all units are for sale units. The master plan shows a well-designed pedestrian-oriented community that incorporates the concepts of new urbanism that are required under the neo-traditional overlay district. The proposed rezoning will allow for a development that will increase home ownership opportunities in Newport News. It will provide parks and open spaces that will be available not only to the residents of the development, but also to the residents of the surrounding neighborhoods. The proffers provided by the developer include transportation improvements and the master plan with its accompanying design guidelines, and will ensure the development of a well-designed community. Hence, it is recommended that City Planning Commission recommend to City Council approval of change of zoning CZ 2025-0002 for the approximately 109 acres located at 420, 501, 623, and 641 Export Circle from R9 mixed use with proffers and neo-traditional overlay district to R9 mixed use with proffers and neo-traditional district with new proffers. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Williams?
First one, I just want to make sure, as a point of clarification, you said that this plan has 638 housing units, which is actually one less than the original plan. I assume the original plan you're talking about is the 2013 plan.
Correct.
Explain again how that can happen if you have less park space. That you actually have less homes with less park space.
As I mentioned during my presentation, all lots are significantly smaller than in the original proposal. Yet, the overall open space area is roughly the same in both plans.
Okay. But there's really no difference from a residential perspective in terms of density?
From density, no.
Okay. My other one, I just want to confirm again that there will be no rental property that's constructed on this, that this will all be homes that will be bought or sold.
There will be only for sale properties. That doesn't mean that whoever buys it cannot rent it.
Right, right. And how for the design review committee, how will the residential representatives be chosen? Is that just something that is going to be
They
done
will have
just
a
by?
homeowners association representative
Okay.
that will be chosen from whoever owns a home.
Okay. Is there any reason why the proffer of 6, which also included people from the adjacent neighborhood, would not be involved from just the 3 that is being proposed and proffered?
I'm really not aware of why that change happened, but the developer is here. I'm sure that they can answer that question for you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Bowditch?
So I appreciate your presentation today. Very, very detailed. 2 or 3 questions. First question, there was a mention of a CSX barrier. Is there a proposed barrier that's being planned for between the CSX railroad and the rear parcels that fall adjacent to the railroad?
They have to have a landscape buffer. I'm not sure if they are planning to put a fence. I think they are. Yes, there will be a fence also.
Like a metal fence or like a
I'm not
traditional-
sure. I think it's.
I believe it's a
wood-
privacy fence, so it's a wooden fence that's proposed, or some sort of solid fencing material.
My second question is, in the original 2014, 2015, and subsequent plans, there was discussion of integrating some commercial aspect into the development, whether it's a coffee shop or a couple of small retail parcels. Obviously, there is a green space that is to be determined at the entrance. Is it fair to say there is no intended commercial small footprints within the neighborhood?
That is correct. It's as it was the case in the current rezoning. There is no commercial properties within the development.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anyone else? I have a couple questions. You talk about the lots becoming smaller from previous presentations. What do those compare to the lot sizes in Port Warwick and Hilton Village?
Sure. So, Hilton Village, typical lots are 32.5 by 125, and they go all the way up to 47.5 to 130. Those are the properties next to the water. And of course, you have very small lots fronting Warwick Port Warwick has lots that are approximately 50 by 106 for the single-family detached. The duplexes have 35 by 97 per unit.
Okay, so the lots in the proposed development are smaller than even those currently in Port Warwick.
Some of them are. Yes.
In general.
Yes.
Okay, the 2013 proffers, besides having the design review while the structures were being built, I believe there was an intent that that design review remained after the completion of the development. I don't see anything in the proffers about that. Has that been deleted? Is that a question for the developer?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one comment. There is a railroad crossing at Harpersville Road proposed for the future. Way out there somewhere. It's not budgeted. We don't have any idea when it might take place. But this is going to necessitate another crossing right away. No more comment.
Okay.
Any other comment by, or comments or questions to Saul? If not,
Well, Chairman, Flora, I don't know if, can you clarify that about the railroad crossing or?
I'm sorry, I may
proposed?
have missed. It has to be an underpass or a bridge rather than the street that crosses it.
Right. So in the long-range transportation plan, there is an overpass crossing that is proposed for Harpersville Road in the future. When that will happen, we don't know. It is not funded at this point.
Or design.
Or designed, so I can't answer any of those questions.
That wasn't a question.
Right. Just-
Yeah.
before we finish, I'll make sure no one else has any questions for Saul at this time. Okay. At this point, we're opening the public hearing. We recommend that as people come forward to speak, they're required to state their name and address. We would prefer that the address be the residential address of the speaker. And I intend to allow everyone to speak for as long as they need to get their issues across, in the interest that as many concerns are addressed quickly. If you are in agreement with a concern that has already been stated, could you please state, announcing that you are in agreement with that previously stated concern or concerns, and then proceed with any additional concerns that you have in trying to minimize the time of the hearing. Okay. The first person is the applicant, Brian Rowe of D.R. Horton.
Good afternoon, Vice Chairman and Commissioners. Good to see you this afternoon. My name is
Afternoon.
Brian Rowe. I reside at 803 Cypress Chapel Road in Suffolk, Virginia, and I appreciate the opportunity to present. I'm the Vice President of D.R. Horton, Southern Virginia, headquartered in Richmond, Virginia, live in Suffolk, and spend a lot of time in Newport News with my family as well. Love the city. This rezoning, I just want to reiterate a few things. Grady Palmer will be able to present our application in more detail, and Melissa Venable will also speak from Land Planning Solutions, who is a designer, and we can answer any questions when it comes time for that. Just to reiterate a few things, the rezoning does not change or lessen the quality or type or of the style of the original rezoning. Our community, in our opinion, and many of the others who have helped us craft this new community, It is as nice as anything that was originally designed, and we are going to continue to adhere to the architectural standards of the original rezoning. We haven't deviated from any of the architectural standards. And I heard people speak about some of the deviation, some of the things that we changed on the community. The originally rezoned property in 2013 or 14, when that was zoned, they had a few flaws in the site plan that would not, if you went to develop it today based on new stormwater regulations and what the city has learned over the past few years about fire and safety apparatuses and road widths and radii and within communities where fire apparatuses cannot get to the emergency quickly. If you develop the community as it was originally approved in 2013-14, the community would not adhere to those standards. So what we've done, and some of the questions were, why did the lot size get a little smaller than the original plan, and you still maintain the same amount of open space? We did that because the roads had to get considerably wider throughout the entire community to help fix the fire radii that needed to happen and the on-street parking requirements, so people could park on street and the fire apparatus could still get by, which you're having problems in other communities within the city. We're trying to eliminate that. That was one of the big flaws in the original design. There was also the storm drainage on the original plan would not work currently the way it was drawn. And of course, that was a concept plan, just like ours is. We've done a lot of pre-engineering calculations, working closely with the planning department and public utilities, and we've calculated a way to fix the storm drainage issue, so the site will drain all, from the middle, basically left and right, versus all one way, the way it was originally designed. So that's another reason we had to ask for the change. And then the conversation about the city park that was originally 4.5 acres, it was almost in the center of the community at one point in the original plan. We pulled it, we shrunk it to 2.5 acres and pulled it to the edge, the bottom edge of our community, up against the commercial that exists, to allow for better public access. And then we took another 1.6 acres, which would be a total of 4.2, almost about the same as the 4.5 acres that was there. And we eliminated the previously proffered, the original developer was going to do some type of commercial or office use out on Warwick Boulevard. We took the 1.6 acres and we're going to create that to be recreational space, and we're going to actually try to locate a recreational user to build something more family-friendly there. So in essence, the park spaces and the green space is really the same. It's just one of them, the city park at 2.5 acres dedicated to the city. The 1.6 acres will be on Warwick Boulevard and be used to be more family-friendly for the public at large. Folks from Hilton and other people that want to come, and families and kids can come. We're trying to find a really good user for that site, and we're generally going to just give the site to the right. If we can find the right user, we're going to attract them by literally just giving them the land to build it. We just want to make sure that you do the right thing for everybody. So that's the main reason. And then the rest of the park space and open space, we spread it out throughout the community versus having it all consolidated in one spot. That creates a better livability throughout the community. Again, we're going to adhere to the original intent of the design guidelines for the architecture, and 25% of our homes in our community actually are facing open space versus the other community wasn't that way. Our price points, I think we mentioned it earlier, but just to wrap up with this, we're building, we're going to have some townhomes, the smallest townhomes around 1,500 square feet in the high 300s, and they'll go 420 that's about 1,500 square feet. We'll have other townhomes that are low 400s. We'll have some attached age targeted, because this community also be an option for people who live in adjacent communities that are tired of cutting their grass, that are big houses, clean their gutters, that want to come live in a kind of a maintenance-free atmosphere. We'll have 50 or 60 units within this neighborhood that are quads that will allow for the active adult to come in and live and have maintenance-free within the community. They'll be in the mid fours, low fives, and then we'll have single families all the way up to the mid fives to high fives, and even some of the larger ones in the low sixes. So it's a high-quality community, high-quality residential community. D.R. Horton will develop and build this community highly amenitized, and high-quality community that will provide amazing housing options for many families to live and work in the city of Newport News, and kind of try to stop the exodus of workers from the largest employer in the state of Virginia, Newport News Shipbuilding, who the good portion of those, because of the lack of housing options within this part of the city, are headed over the James River Bridge to live in Carrollton and Isle of Wight County and Smithfield and Suffolk and have just made a huge burst into housing there, and because they hadn't had options here. This community will help retain that workforce that is heading east, and some of the ones that are heading west to York County and James City County. So we're excited about it, and I'll be available for questions throughout the presentation as needed. Thank you.
I just
You want
Just got
can I
one
stay for
question.
questions
Yeah,
now? Okay.
One of the prior proffers that I mentioned to Saul was that it was going to be a design review committee of 6 people, which would include some people from the adjacent neighborhood. Why was that proffer reduced when you did it to just 3, which is just yourself, architect, and a member of the, who shall be the homeowner
A
association?
resident of the new community. And it really, honestly, we're flexible when it comes in that respect. The reason we did it is there's a very strict architectural guideline with it that we're enforcing here. So having, 6, 8, 10, 12 people, we have large HOAs in other communities and other architecture review boards throughout our company that we've dealt with. And if you have a large bunch of people trying to enforce this 30-page document, the document is the document. Whether it's 3 people enforcing the document or 8, it's really not, it makes the system work a lot better. We're already proffering the types of homes they're gonna build, what they're gonna look like. We just have to build those houses. The architecture review committee is not gonna come up and say, oh, well, let's add a garage or do something different here. No, they're there to enforce the guidelines that are already written. So that's why we shrunk it. But if we needed to move it to 6 and let people be from the other
So 1
community,
or
it really
2,
wouldn't
just
matter
1 or
because they're
2.
only going to be allowed to enforce the guidelines that are already written. That's the reason for that, Commissioner Williams. And we can make that change if we need to, so.
Along those lines,
Yes,
as
sir.
far as the design review, my question was, that I stated earlier to Saul, that it no longer mentions a design review after construction is completed is required for the homeowners association. So if that's not there, what prevents a homeowner to then decide, say, they need more square footage of home space and they want to convert their garage into living space? The concern is that you want to make sure
It
that
stays like you built it.
if
right,
it,
right.
either it stays a garage, or if the HOA approves it, that the garage is integrated into the design so that the fenestration matches the rest of the structure and it doesn't look like someone just popped something inside a garage door.
Seen that happen before. So our HOAs our HOA documents themselves will enforce post-construction. Obviously, the original AI, the board that's going to govern the construction originally will make sure the homes are built to compliance.
But
Once
if-
the HOA governs it, they're going to have to make sure that they're not, for example, to your point about garages, you won't be allowed to add doors in garages and get rid of garage doors. And what you do inside your home is irrelevant to the architectural review side of it. But our ARB will govern moving forward.
And
Yeah.
the same thing is if they get tired of hardy plank and they wanted to, hey, I can get double floor vinyl siding and put that up instead. I just want to make sure that it is actually proffered that the HOA has to do that.
We
Are
can't.
we able to do that through the proffers?
Proffers are voluntary.
Well, the architectural proffers are not necessarily voluntary, right? I mean, we
But
have to.
if they accepted that proffer, is that enforceable by the city?
I don't think we can discuss proffers
Okay.
in public hearing.
It's not to the advantage of an HOA to allow the community to get odd and do things that are not compliant to the neighborhood. They're worried about property values is more so than anybody else that lives around the community.
I understand.
Once they're there. I've never had any issue with that in any of our other communities, but point well taken, Vice Chairman.
Got one left. You are also the developer for the InView property development that we agreed upon earlier this year, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are.
Are you planning on constructing this development with any less quality than with that development for the price ranges for the properties?
No, sir. I mean, the architectural designs are a little different in Camp Morrison Station versus the InView architectural. InView being a more suburban neighborhood, larger single-family lot, and some townhomes, but more of a spread out. This is more of a traditional neighborhood design, a little more dense, a little more urban by intent. So, no, the quality will be the same, our warranties will be the same and the customer care, and I'm going to make sure personally, I'll stay personally involved in both of these communities. I mean, View is, we were working on that since 2018. This one's been a couple of years, so we will make sure that the quality is great across both communities. That I can assure you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rowe, on the duplex houses, we have two driveways adjacent to each other, two double driveways adjacent to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Who cuts the front yard? You won't have much to cut. It's going to be mostly concrete.
It'll be somebody with a really good with a weed eater. That's what happens. Basically, what you end up with is a turf strip between the double garageways. Typically, there'll be a turf strip there or a landscape strip. And the same person who's cutting the backyard, I guess Commissioner Black will be cutting the front yard. So,
Any other questions for Mr. Rowe? Thank you.
I'm available for future questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Grady Palmer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Grady Palmer. And then in the interest of time, my
please.
address is
Please include your address as well.
222 Central Park Avenue in Virginia Beach. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. And in the interest of time, I just want to just speak on a couple things regarding the proffers. You know, one of the things that changed with the proffers and the traffic impact analysis since the 2013 rezoning was there is a pretty substantial upgrade in the amount of infrastructure that the developer is going to have to provide with this project. A lot of enhancements that have been offered. The full recommendations in the traffic impact analysis are proffered, so I just want to make that clear for the public. And secondly, I just want to address the concerns about ongoing enforcement. We did include a provision in the proffers that says that these proffers shall be binding upon and shall inure to the benefit of the parties hereto and their respective heirs, successors, and assigns, which means buyers and future homeowners, they will be subject to these proffers. And so in the event there's any violation of the design guidelines, the city can enforce those. You know, the HOA will be the first stop, but the city will ultimately have enforcement authority in perpetuity for these design guidelines. So that is in our proffers, and that's pretty normal. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions that you have, and I thank you very much.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Palmer? Next is Melissa Venable.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Venable, 5857 Harborview Boulevard in Suffolk, Virginia. I just wanted to briefly add, because I had the opportunity to compare the 2013 plan to this current plan, and I think the lot size issue is important. And I will state probably the most obvious is that there were 47 7,000 square foot lots in the old plan, and they are no longer in this plan. So there are no 7,000 square foot lots, and that's where we make up a lot of that difference that you were just speaking about. So there were 7,000 square foot lots, but there are only 47 of them of the 639. Our lots on average are more than 4,000 square feet. There is a segment of them that's just 220 square feet less than 4,000 square feet, or 3,780. They're 42 feet wide, so they are wider than what was mentioned in the adjacent neighborhoods, because Saul had mentioned that many of the lots, not all, were 32 feet wide. Ours are at a minimum for the single family 42 foot wide, but they aren't as deep. But again, they're not as deep because several of the lots, 160, are facing a park or adjacent to a park. So it's semantics, and I understand that it is concerning that you see these smaller lot sizes, but the bulk of our single-family lots are 4,000 square feet, plus or minus. Many of them are 4,860 square feet. The minimum width is 42 feet wide. And then on our townhomes, which makes up a lot of our residential units, they are 20 feet in width, whereas previously, in the 2013 plan, they were 22 feet in width. So if that helps, just because I'm a little bit of a numbers person, and I think just talking about it, well, they're a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, I hope those facts at least get you to the where and the why. I had given that information to Brian, the information that 25% or 160 of the homes are now facing the linear park that's in the middle of the neighborhood that has the clubhouse and pool. Previously, the plan didn't have a clubhouse, and we think it's important now that there's a clubhouse and pool within this community. But we have these different parks throughout the community now, which allows 25% or 160 of the homes to either face or be adjacent to a park. And I think that's important as you know, being the person that got to look at the original master plan and study the original master plan and then come up with these areas that we had to have for stormwater management, then also how do we improve? And we think the big improvement here, the last plan was fantastic, but the big improvement here is that there's open space throughout the community. So if you need to walk your dog, you can do it nearby your house. You don't have to go all the way to that central park, or that central park that has a lot of activity. Maybe you're not in the right frame of mind to have all that activity. Now there's another space. There's a passive open space or a linear park that you can go to instead. And then we really are excited about that entertainment venue coming up front near Warwick Boulevard and then integrating into the larger park area. I'll stand by for questions, or if I can answer anything else right now, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I had a question. So, and just make sure I'm following you. When you say the 2013 plan, there were a small percentage had the really large lot size, right? There were
Right.
48.
47 of those lots were 7,000 square feet.
So if you were to take those out of the 2013, the majority of the homes that remained, how do those compare to the ones that you plan to build?
That's a great question. The bulk of those lots, they were a little bit wider, but they were more shallow. So the bulk of those lots were 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
Okay? So ours are 4,000, well, they're 3,780 or 4,800 square feet.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. So I just wanted, for clarity's sake, for
Yeah.
people that are concerned that there's been this massive reduction in lot
Right.
size, your response to that is maybe that's a little bit artificially inflated because there were a small number of really large ones that moved that number. And if you take those off the table, the average experience of the homeowner is going to be pretty much the same.
That's exactly right, with the exception that, like I said, we have eliminated, and that's the biggest change, we've eliminated 7,000 square foot
Right.
lots, but there were only 47 of them, so,
Of the
Eight to-
640,
that's right.
yeah.
That's right, yes.
So you have over 600 homes that have a lot size very similar to the ones that you're going to build,
That's exactly correct.
if you compare the two plans.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Wait, I also have questions. I was
Sorry, Mr. Shuck.
seeing if anyone else had them beforehand. The new urbanist plan was to put in like single-car garages or not anything on the frontage. And
That's right.
now we're going with two-car garages, so the facade is quite a bit of two-car garage and not much living space on the first floor that's visible from the street.
So I don't want to disagree with you by any means. So if you looked at the old plan, there were very few alley-loaded products. A lot of the products had like the larger 7,000 foot, they had this courtyard home, so they had the driveway in front and then it turned, so it was really all pavement in the front of the house. The two duplex homes are exactly the same. We have front-load garages, they had front-load garages. We're doing some side load, but we've incorporated a lot more alleys in this plan. So I hear what you're saying, and we approached it a little bit differently, but there's more alleys in our plan, which allow for more of that pedestrian-friendly streetscape. I don't have it in front of me, so forgive me. I don't believe all the single-family lots that they had proposed were alley-loaded. A lot of them were side-loaded, and a lot of ours were side-loaded. And like I said, we have a condition in ours that only every third lot where we have front-loaded garages can be that direct front load, otherwise they're side-load. So that was very important when we were working with staff, that we made sure we had this similar approach, and I believe we do. I think we actually have more pedestrian-friendly, more alley-loaded type product.
Okay. Also, as far as utilities, such as transformer boxes and communications terminal boxes, I assume those will be placed on public shared space and not in private lawns.
Right, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but we're going to have to abide by the Newport News' regulations.
Since the lot sizes are
Yeah, generally
so small.
speaking, that is within the right-of-way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now our right-of-way is actually wider, which is helpful with those situations.
And with the townhome design,
Yes.
since the entire rear of the townhouse is going to be garage doors,
So and I should have mentioned that, you brought that up, and I apologize. Most of our townhome product has a single-car garage. So actually, in the 20-foot width, you only have half of that. That's a driveway and a garage, which you had mentioned that most of your first floor is garage, but in this case, it's half. It's only a one-car garage, not a two-car garage.
okay, so that,
Sorry.
I was going to ask a question about where the compressor for the air
Right, so
conditioner
there's
would go. I
plenty of
don't-
room in the
well,
rear now for compressors and those types of things, which is really helpful. I'm sorry I missed that initially. I'm glad you revisited that. And that's also why you'll see a lot of extra parking spaces, like our alleys are a bit wider, and we have extra parking, head-in parking areas where we can, not on the public right-of-way, but they're scattered around again, so we have plenty of area for additional parking.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I appreciate you asking so many detailed questions, because you go through all that as you're designing, and we've gone over and over and revised and revised and revised, but then you forget that you've actually looked at all these things, and then we show up with a pretty plan. But thank you for asking so many detailed questions.
Okay. I forgot to make the point that we do have, we have received emails in reference to this application from 13 citizens who are in opposition. I'd like those emails included into the record. I think we have a comment card back there as well. Next to speak, Wendy Drucker.
Planning Commissioners, I'm Wendy Drucker. My address is 633 Haystack Landing Road in Newport News. And I thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about Marston Station. This development is going to energize this corridor in Newport News. I want to give you a little bit of background on my involvement. 36 years ago, Drucker and Falk put together the investment group to buy Camp Morrison. And at the time, it was a functioning industrial park. The first time I ever saw it was when I moved back here in '94, and it was filled with cocoa beans. Now, mind you, cocoa beans smell horrible in bulk. In fact, it's a really nasty smell. They don't smell like hot cocoa at all. But because of the way that bulk things are stored now, over time, Camp Morrison became functionally obsolete. And as you know, it has been empty for more than 5 years. And so I'm here to talk with you about why I feel you should approve this rezoning, which in reality modifies, as you have heard, the current plan for better. A pool, a clubhouse, stormwater management systems that now meet with the current regulations, ensuring that the roads are wide enough for our fire trucks and our police vehicles and other emergency vehicles to be able to get to our residents, our Newport News residents, when they need them. You all have heard that Newport News desperately needs new housing. And I want you to know the only house that was taken when City Center Boulevard came through was an employee of mine who's been with my company for 40 years. The only house. And do you know where she ended up moving to? Carrollton. And do you want to know why? Because there wasn't anything new in Newport News and nothing with a downstairs primary bedroom. And she has physical issues that she needed a primary bedroom downstairs. And they are now over the James River Bridge living. And these were people who were born and raised and married and raised their children in Newport News. We need this variety of type of housing to attract new people to our city and to keep our current residents in town. We know we've been losing them. We've been losing them to Suffolk and Carrollton and Smithfield, Just look at the traffic on the James River Bridge and the Monitor Merrimack when all these people are coming to work at our shipyard. They don't live in Newport News. They live everywhere else. The variety of homes that you've heard about today will attract those just entering the workforce, people graduating college, engineers going to work at the shipyard, those looking to have the bells and whistles of a new home that we don't have in Newport News, and those downsizing, and those looking for that primary bedroom in order to age in place. Morrison Station will energize. Do I have to quit now? I thought I had unlimited time.
You have unlimited time.
Thank you. Morrison Station will energize the existing retail and restaurants that we have in this corridor and will help attract new retail and new restaurants and places for our neighbors, our Newport News neighbors, to eat and have fun with their families and play. As you've heard, the development is walkable. We don't have a lot of walkable developments in our city, with the public park and the dog park and pocket parks and the pool and the clubhouse, which is really unique to our city. I am a native of Newport News, and it is time for us to make this 109 acres into a neighborhood of which we all can be proud. And I do hope that you will vote in favor of Morrison Station. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, does anyone have any questions? Ms. Bruckner?
This is just comments, right?
Yeah.
Come.
This is just comment.
That's right. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant.
Next, Beth Smallridge.
Hello, Beth Smallridge. I live at 49 Woodfin, Newport News. Did you say that there were 13 emails in opposition?
Yes.
Great, I just wanted to know that. So I live, work, and volunteer in the greater Hilton area, and I was part of the most recent Citizens Advisory Committee. I strongly oppose this proposed rezoning of the Camp Morrison property. The 2013 proffers were thoughtfully negotiated by residents for the benefit of the surrounding neighborhoods. The process took 3 years plus and prioritized public trust and planning integrity. Not abiding by these proffers compromises the community's vision and our trust in our leaders. I had 4 specific reasons. These are in no way exhaustive list, but I think the main concern I have is the quality of this housing. The low-quality housing shouldn't be considered affordable housing, as it costs the owners more in time and suffering to correct shoddy workmanship. Newport News has the most affordable housing in Tidewater. We need a balanced approach to housing. The complaints about this builder are numerous, and I believe Camp Morrison and the surrounding neighborhoods deserve Port Warwick quality or better. The second issue I have is that the mixed-use development, I don't see I'm not an expert on this, but I don't see the restaurants, offices, businesses within the community. The entertainment venue and recreation site, which is marked as developed by others, doesn't necessarily make this a plan that is a blend of residential, commercial, and recreational space, which is what I believe the R9 is supposed to be. That's pretty much all I have.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Cliff Blow.
Hi, my name is Cliff Blow. I'm at 318 Palin in Hilton. What I'm concerned about, I was told by the developers when they were presenting their plan to our community about a traffic impact analysis. What they want to do is put the main entrance into Elm, which would cause stoplights from Harpersville to the shopping center, 7 different stoplights. you can imagine during shipyard, going home time, shipyard, getting there, all that traffic is going to be bottled up. And then you've got the Harpersville Road. That's a 2-lane road. There's Warwick High School, there's the Mount Carmel, and one of their egress is coming out onto Harpersville. So you're talking about 638 different homes, multiply that by 2 probably with cars, and where's all that traffic going to go? So that is what I'm concerned about, and I'm hoping that that will be addressed because they promised us a traffic analysis, and I have yet to see anything like that from the developer. Thank you.
Thank you.
J. Craig Kelly. John Otis.
Yeah, I'm a little hard of hearing, so if we've already covered this, I apologize. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. And also, I wanted to ask them very quickly, this is a pedestrian-friendly development. Are they going to put a wall along the railroad tracks?
There will be a fence.
Are you going to put just a fence?
There will be a fence.
Okay. Now, are you aware that during those railroad tracks, the students from Warwick High School walk down those tracks very regularly? Is someone going to stop them from walking?
We don't really have control over that.
Oh, I know, I understand that.
right.
But there are some safety issues, particularly with that lane that comes out on Harpersville Road. Have any of you gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen, traveled Harpersville Road when a train goes through? How far back is traffic lined up? How many people, and again, this is a safety issue, you're not concerned with that. How many people spin around, turn their cars around, and race back the other way to beat a train, and they're not going to get anywhere anyways? But that lane that comes out on Harpersville Road, if that is a main entrance to this, that is going to be a severe problem. And I realize it's not your problem. However, it's going to be a problem with safety issues.
Thank you.
Jill Hearns, or is it Hams?
Good afternoon. My name is Jill Harris, and I live at 301 Herman Melville Avenue in Port Warwick. My house backs right up to the railroad track, something I thought would be a real nuisance when we moved in. But honestly, we hardly notice it anymore. I couldn't tell you if the train comes by twice or 10 times a day. Sometimes it's even kind of relaxing. As much as we enjoy living in Port Warwick, I wanted to share my support for the redevelopment of the Camp Morrison site for housing. The planned amenities like the pool, the clubhouse, homes with first floor primary bedroom are exactly what my husband and I are hoping to find in our next home. Right now, there isn't a neighborhood like that in Newport News. We've actually started looking in Williamsburg just to find something that checks those boxes. But since I work in City Center and my husband works at the shipyard, staying in Newport News and keeping our short commutes would be ideal. So I truly hope this community moves forward. It's something we'd love to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie Ryan.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Bonnie Ryan. I live at 825 Miller Creek Lane in Newport News. That's in the Kiln Creek area and back of the Regal Theaters. And what I've heard today presented about this development is something that would be very appealing to me for a lot of the same reasons that the gal before me just mentioned. Where I live currently, we have a pool. That's it. There's no clubhouse, there's no sidewalks, there's no green space, there's nothing. So the opportunity to have mixed choicing housing as well as the green space, the amenities, and still be very centrally located to everything that I need to do for my life, doctors, hospitals, work, everything, would make me want to stay in Newport News and consider to relocate to this development. So I hope that the vote is in the affirmative to let it move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Catherine Allen.
Catherine Allen, 202 James River Drive, Newport News. I've lived in this city for over 40 years, and in Hilton Village, 2 places, and in Warwick on the James. So I'm familiar with the area. I've been looking at that property for years, wondering about it, thinking about it, wondering what could happen there. I would love to see a mixed-use property. It seems like it's handy to shopping, and it's handy to a lot of things. That's why I stay where I am. But I am concerned, and I just leave it to you because I haven't looked at any of the information, but I hope this planning commission will really be astute at looking at all of the aspects. I was here when Newport News was going to build Warwick Road right under the marquee for the Hilton Village Theater. I held signs and walked along Warwick Boulevard. We had balloons. Thank goodness they didn't take away the sidewalk. I was here when they were going to take down the live oaks along Warwick Boulevard, and fortunately, they put the road behind. So there's lots of things like that that are important to consider. And you people are the ones. And I am concerned of things that I have heard about the quality of the construction, and that's everything. So I hope that you'll keep your fingers on it and watch it all, because it's important. And it's a prime piece of property. I mean, it couldn't be a greater piece of property to develop. So I hope it does turn out. I wouldn't mind moving over there myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Waters.
Walters?
Okay, Steve Walters.
Good afternoon. My name's Steve Walters. I live at 102 Willow Loop Drive in Yorktown. Just want to let you know my wife and I purchased a property basically sandwiched between the 2 entrances called Smoke Barbecue about 13 years ago. And we've poured our whole, hearts and soul into this business and been trying to make it better ever since, more appealing, a better restaurant, a better venue for everybody to come to. So I think it'll be a great asset to the neighborhood. And not to mention, I think, the blight and the nefarious activities that go on probably back there right now that sometimes, transfer over to our business, and I have to be responsible and pay for myself, will be gone. And so I'm all for the development and look forward to it to happening. Any questions?
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chalice Rogers. Ms. Rogers, Rodgers.
Subtle, Raymond Subtle.
Okay.
Jr.
Raymond Suttle, Jr.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Raymond Suttle, Jr. I'm a resident of Hilton Village at 315 Ferguson Avenue. I was born and raised in Newport News, and I've been in Hilton since, the last 25 years. My family also owns Warwick Shopping Center, which is directly in front of the proposed site. I'm in favor of it for a variety of reasons. One, in the neighborhood, I think it would certainly help the residents in the neighborhood and really give some energy and revitalization to the area. I don't believe there's been any development or capital improvement in this area in probably the last 40 years. The only thing I can think of is between James River Drive and Elm was some townhouses that were built probably in the late 70s to 80s. We did an expansion of the shopping center about that same time in the northern part. I think it would also help the tenants and the surrounding businesses. It is a much needed redevelopment of the property behind us. It's dilapidated, it's not in use, so and that use is not going to be a commercial industrial use anymore. The only thing really that can be done is residential. Certainly the property has its challenges, most notably access, but I think the developer's done a very good job of trying to work around those challenges and make amends in access. So we're all for it, and we'd ask that you recommend to council approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jim Healy?
Hello, my name is Jim Healy. I live at 11 Larchmont Crescent in Newport News, not far from Morrison Station site being discussed today. I want to voice my strong support for the proposal to replace the functionally obsolete, deteriorating warehouses with new townhomes, single-family homes, and green space. The existing buildings have been vacant and deteriorating for years and have become more of a liability than an asset to the neighborhood. They attract illegal dumping, graffiti, vagrants, homeless camps, and have really become an eyesore and a safety concern for nearby residents. Families in the neighborhood have been asking for cleaner, safer, and more welcoming spaces for a long time, and this project would breathe new life into the area, providing much-needed housing options while also adding green space and public park for all residents of Newport News. What I especially like about the plan is that it includes both a mix of housing and outdoor areas. It shows a commitment to building not just more homes, but a better community where kids can play, neighbors can gather, and the community can thrive. I urge the council to approve the plan. It's a responsible, well-thought-out step forward that addresses housing, public safety, and livability all in one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Joshua David?
Thank you very much. My name's Josh David. I live at 11 Blunt Court in Newport News, and I used to live at 120 Villa Road, right across the street from the development. I'm a lawyer. I represent Drucker and Falk, and I represent the seller of the property, so I wanted to put that out there, but I'm really here speaking as a citizen of Newport News. And y'all are brave to give a lawyer unlimited time to talk. I was foolish, but I won't be that long. I've lived here for 53 years, which is how old I am. I practiced law with Joe Frank for 24 years, and in his memorial service, I remember Neil Morgan saying that when Port Warwick was being considered, that Joe told him that they need to do everything in the city's power to make it happen, and that the city didn't have the power to make it happen. They needed to pass some new ordinances and get some more power to make it happen. And I don't know that y'all need to do that or the city needs to do that, but the city needs to make this project happen. Port Warwick, City Center, Jefferson Commons, Tech Center, each of these things has enhanced our city, and I'm sure each of them came with opposition, and people that are voicing their opposition are doing so in nothing other, I'm sure, but good faith, and they're concerned about traffic and everything that everybody worries about with a new development. But we cannot pass by on an opportunity to keep people in our city and to bring new people here. We need a new housing project, just has been said by so many people. We do not think that we just invite people to move to Poquoson and York County and Smithfield, and we need people here in our city. I like to go to Hilton Village on the weekends. We have brunch and indulge quite a lot. My cousin's daughter has worked at the Hilton Creamery for years. Hilton Village is a jewel. Hilton Village could use 600 new homes to patronize those businesses that I know about and the many others that are there. Warwick Shopping Center, they built that new Food Lion when I moved into Villa Road like 30 years ago. As Mr. Suttle said, nothing's happened. The bank building on that property, that used to be, I don't know, it was United Virginia Bank, and then I don't even know if it made it to SunTrust. I think it was United Virginia Bank, Crestar. That thing's been vacant for 25 years. We need development in this area. We need things to happen. We need this area to be revitalized. So I would ask you to do everything you can to make this happen. It's important for the city, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Michael Shapiro.
Thank you all. My name is Michael Shapiro. I live at 21 Terrell Road in Newport News. I've been a resident of the city since 1999, and I've worked in Newport News most of the last 30 years. I still own a house in Hilton. 4 children grew up and attended Hilton Elementary, so we know the area a little bit. We have a housing shortage in Newport News and on the peninsula in general. There are presently only about 400 homes, and this is up by over 100 homes since last month in Newport News. That's unusually low for residential realtors. I did a few homeworks and Googled some things and asked some people. Usually we have several thousand homes available for sale this time of year as people are moving. The housing report to City Council stated that Newport News is not keeping pace with its share of regional population growth. This is the report that the city requested. This is what you all asked for. It shows that we need roughly 20,000, it said 21,000, new units by 2050, so 25 years, to accommodate growth and replace the aging housing stock. That's 700 units per year, every year for the next 25 years. This is a good place to start with 640 roughly units. The median age of the Newport News resident is 39 years old. I thought it was much older, but I'm looking in the mirror, I still think I'm 39. And when they're ready to grow their families, there's insufficient housing stock in Newport News for them to stay here. We are losing, and if you go back and look at our population statistics, we are losing residents at that point where they're growing their families because they have no way to stay here. They can't upsize. They can't grow. They can't invest. And without that, we'll continue to lose people. Many of them are forced to move out of the city, and the military, where I served a big part of my life, who make up a large part of our workforce, either directly or indirectly, they have inadequate housing. They have inadequate housing around the shipyard. They have inadequate housing around Fort Eustis. They have inadequate housing around Langley Air Force Base. And if you ever experienced a BRAC, and if those of you who are around here when Hampton lost Fort Monroe, you know that the impact on the peninsula of Fort Monroe closing was enormous and decades long to recover. And we just lost part of TRADOC. It's not happening tomorrow, but it's going to happen. We do not want to be in a position to lose one of our biggest employers, the government, the federal government, the military. The city needs more housing stock of all types, and this development will replace 110 acres of derelict, closed, deteriorating concrete bunkers, homeless camps, with new median homes to house working people here in our city. The development of over 639 homes will do more to revitalize the Hilton retail corridor than any other act since Homer Ferguson built Hilton Village. The original 500 homes in 1918 on 100 acres. So when you think of the comparison and what Hilton has been to this city for all this time, think about what another 110 acres, 109 acres, will do for that retail corridor. And that's what I do. I do retail and industrial and office space. And when you look at that corridor, if y'all drove down Warwick to get here and looked left and right, it's pretty bleak. 639 homes in a park will do a lot to revitalize that retail corridor. The housing study performed in October of last year by the Newport News City Council recommended that zoning and land use modifications should expand and encourage missing, middle, and other housing types. And I strongly encourage your support of those findings that were ordered by your council to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, I see you have some more cards. Thank you. John Lash.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is John Lash. I live at 56 Hopkins Street, Newport News, Virginia. I am just go on record, I'm not a lawyer, as some of the people have said. Lifelong resident of 66 years here in Newport News, own multiple properties within the general vicinity of this development. I come before you today to speak on my concern about the rezoning that's on the agenda today, not because I'm not in favor of the Morrison Station project. I'm in favor of a good quality development there. It's much needed, and I think it will add, as some of the previous speakers have spoken to boost the housing stock and the retail corridor. However, having served on the Architectural Review Board in the city of Newport News for over 8 years, I was concerned about the watering down of the Architectural Review Board numbers that Mr. Williams, you questioned. I think it's a very valid concern because there was some misunderstanding that was spoken here today about who is responsible for enforcement, and it is not the Architectural Review Board. That's HOA or the Codes Compliance Department. And so there were some other things that I heard today that kind of remind me of the last public hearing that the developer put on for the neighborhood, where I left with more questions than I had coming in. And one of the issues that I have is the Harpersville Road exit. I am concerned about the traffic that's on that road during school season. Also, you have 2 funeral homes within close proximity of that proposed intersection. When there's funerals, most of them are going either way. I mean, there's 2 ways, 2 funeral homes that use Harpersville Road to get to various cemeteries here on the peninsula. So I happen to have a storage unit nearby, like 2 or 3 houses down from there, and I know from experience that the coal drags, the railroad coal cars coming through there come on a regular basis, and they seem to be getting longer and longer and longer. And that normally backs up traffic, sometimes all the way to Warwick Boulevard and sometimes all the way to Jefferson Avenue. And you time that 4 o'clock run with the 3:30 Shipyard exit, and that's not even dealing with the traffic that you would have coming from this development. I am concerned about the 2 entrances onto Warwick Boulevard, Elm and at Cedar. Previous speaker mentioned about this number of stoplights from Harpersville down to toward Maine, and that's just going to cause a lot of traffic during Shipyard times of traffic. So anyway, the other thing that I have concern with, back for the 2013 proffers and the plan that was worked on diligently by the neighborhood surrounding the project, a lot of work went into that, and a lot of discussion and a lot of effort went into that plan, and it was a good plan. And I'm a realist. I worked in local government for over 30 years, and I'm still working in another locality currently. So I understand the process, and I know things change over time. However, I don't like seeing the watering down of the proffers and the work that was done on the 2013. And I think it's too much of a rush to rezone to get something of lesser quality. And I just wanted to, those are the main points I wanted to share. I've got some other things that, concern me, but I felt like I wanted to come down. I took off today to come down here to speak in person rather than send you an email, just because that shows how concerned I am for that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Rath? No Mark Rath? Jamaica Bivens?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jamaica Bivens. I am a proud resident of Newport News. I live at 102 Title Drive. I wanted to start by saying I've lived in Newport News my entire life. I went to Riverside Elementary School. We grew up on Logan Place. But in mid-2000s, my mother, she works at the Newport News Shipyard, has for 35 years. I have other family members who work there. And in the mid-2000s, we actually moved to North Suffolk because there wasn't housing available in Newport News. And I know a gentleman who spoke before me had said, and as a lot of people have said, that a lot of our residents, when they don't have places to live, they go to other cities. And my family was a example of that. Since then, in 2018, I purchased my home in the Bernard Village townhome area, and that was my first starter home, so I am looking to upgrade. However, there is a lack of housing in Newport News, and when looking into the housing market, Zillow, rental, all those things, the only things that are kind of available are on the other side of the water. But this is where home is where the heart is, and this is where I like to stay and continue to raise and grow a family. I'm speaking today in strong support of the proposed redevelopment of Camp Morrison Industrial Site into Morrison Station. For over a decade, the site has sat in decline. The warehouses, once a symbol of productivity, now sit empty, crumbling, and forgotten. They become more than just an eyesore. They become a reminder of what happens when we stop investing in our neighborhoods. Behind a shopping center where many of us run errands, we grab a bite to eat, catch up with our friends, there is a stretch of land that no longer reflects who we are or who we hope to be. But that can change. Morrison Station isn't just a housing development. It's a vision for something better. It's homes, not rentals, but homes people can put roots down in. Homes for families, for shipbuilders, for teachers and first responders who want to live in the city in which they serve. It's parks and green spaces, and it's a place for kids to ride bikes and neighbors to build community. I understand some concerns have been raised about the train tracks, but our city has grown around the rails before. Port Warwick stands as a beautiful example of what's possible when vision and courage meet resistance with creativity. This project has evolved thoughtfully, taking into account stormwater management, road design, and quality of life. Please support the Morrison Station redevelopment for our future, our families, and our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Doucette? Beth Moore?
Good afternoon, and I appreciate the time and attention to this matter and allowing me to speak. My name is Beth Moore. I live at 113 Botetourt Road, Newport News, in work on the James, which is directly across the street from the shopping center work village, which is then in front of the new development. I'm not opposed to the development in and of itself, but I am opposed to some of the vagaries that are in the language that we've most recently seen. In the very first meeting where I met Brian Rowe, it was mentioned that the siding was going to be hardy plank. And now in the latest document that was released, I see that there's an option for vinyl and an option for EIFS. EIFS is more concern to me than the vinyl, simply because in areas where there's moisture, EIFS is not known to be a stable siding product. Case in point, during my CPA career, I testified as an expert witness in an EIFS case at a condo association in Hampton. And the problem was that the EIFS had degraded, and the condominium owners had to owe a large amount of special assessment money to cover the cost of the replacement of the EIFS with something different. So because the wording in the current document says or we might use either siding or EIFS, that's a concern. I don't know if that language can be tightened up or if this is the place where that happens, but I'm very concerned about the quality and longevity of this product, the housing product and the community from the standpoint of its durability. When you look at the homes in Hilton Village, they're there forever. Our house is approaching 80 years old. We've lived here 35 years and 34 of those in this house. You know, it's a sturdy old thing with annoyingly plaster walls sometimes, but it's not going anywhere. And a lot of the developments that we've seen in the past with tract housing haven't held up well. But the other concern I have is that the driveways are 20 feet long, and the trucks that you might see out there now, whether it's a Tacoma or a Tundra or some of the others that are pretty big, they're 22 feet without the tow hitch. And the concern is the appearance of the neighborhood. You know, there's a one-car garage, but maybe two people are living in a townhome. Where's the other car going to get parked? Is the extra parking on the back alleyways close enough that it's going to be convenient? Or is there going to be a high demand for street parking with not enough street parking to cover both sides of the street's needs for an extra vehicle to be on the road? If you look at a lot that's 42 feet wide and 20 or so feet of it is the width of the two-car driveway, that only leaves 20 more feet for another car to be on the street. You might fit two small cars, but you're only going to fit one big truck. So what's going to be the appearance of the neighborhood? And are those trucks and other vehicles going to hang out over the sidewalk area? And then you end up with a neighborhood that doesn't have the appearance that's really desired. Overall, I think the neighborhood's a great idea. I'm certainly in favor of it from an economic development standpoint. Certainly it's going to support the Hilton area and Ellet's, Rosemont and all the other areas with retail. But I would like to see the language tightened up a little bit before this thing moves forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Scott Crowder.
Thank you for your time. I don't have any prepared remarks because I just found out about this meeting at 2 p.m. On Facebook. I'm the pastor of Dreamhouse Church, which is at 127 Harpersville Road, and I grew up in Hilton and at Elm Avenue. And
Sir, could you also state?
I'm sorry, thank you.
Your own address?
Yes, 7 Wanger Circle, Newport News, Virginia. Yeah. So, yeah, I know the area well. I used to go to Putt-Putt when I was a kid, lived down Elm Avenue, and I'm very excited to hear about the effort to grow Newport News and help the people flourish. I do have lots of concerns about Harpersville Road, and I don't have a for or against, just wanted to share concerns and the traffic, all the great valid points that were brought up about what it's like when the train comes. It sounds like inevitably some point our city has plans to change the view of what Harpersville Road looks like where our church is. So I don't know that our church building will be there by the plans of the city. And that alarms me because I don't have any communication. I don't have anyone talking to me about that. So I came to this meeting to just hear how we can continue to serve the city and stay present to all these families and all these growing businesses. So I just wanted to say I'm here and I have concerns and I'm part of it and want to do what we can to help things go forward. Just wanted to let you know. And I don't know if this is a proper place for questions. This is my first time in this chamber. How do I find out what's going on with my property location on Harpersville in terms of the Hilton Greater Plan? or
You
the
can
future?
call staff,
Okay.
and we can discuss it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't be too worried.
Not anything imminent.
George Gorey, I believe.
How you doing? Ooh. There we go. My name's George Gorey, and I reside at 58 South Emmaus in Pocosin, but I own a business right next to his church on Harpersville, at 135 Harpersville. I'm a business owner, so I get it. Development is key, generating income is key, so I understand all of those things. But as a business owner on that road on Harpersville, which is going to be probably a pretty big, egress for people and things like that, it is a very big concern of mine because I don't own the property. So as a renter, I've been there for 18 years. So my whole life, I know people here that know me that have been there for a long time, but my life revolves on that property. So the plans that I know are coming, by what I'm hearing, is then what happens to me. I like the idea of a mixed use possibility that is now no longer viable on the new proposed plan of there being no commercial inside of that property. So somebody like me and those that are around that are just going to be eliminated, is there any plans for, again, I'm not the landowner. So at the end of the day, I'm just told, see you later. Good luck finding a new property or a new place in that area where my business is and all of my customers come from. So it's not like, oh, hey, I can go down, I can go find somewhere else. But my business is a community business that revolves around that area. So that's my concerns, is, obviously for those businesses around there like myself, I did like the idea of the mixed use, and affordability. I'm a middle class guy, I do okay, but $380,000 or $90,000 for a townhome, to me, I've got a teenage boy that would like to buy a home, or he's graduating and things like that, but there's no I could barely afford a $380,000 townhome. Do you know what I'm saying? So that doesn't seem very affordable to me. But again, I don't have money like a lot of people. I'm just a 80-hour-a-week guy working the best I can. So those are my concerns. Again, I love the fact that we're looking at bringing homes. I think all that stuff is great. I'm just concerned as a business owner that could lose everything. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the previous comment.
Those are all the cards. Is there anyone who wants to speak who has not filled out a card? Come forward.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Robbins at 9806 River Road, Newport News. I'm a local realtor, and I absolutely understand the need for additional quality housing in Newport News, and I really look forward to this property being developed with well-crafted housing. I'm also on the Hilton Architectural Review Board and do have concerns about the continuity of ensuring integrity in the community that is being proposed. So while I'm here to voice my opposition to the proposed rezoning of Camp Morrison the rezoning due to the change in the proffers, I actually am in support of how D.R. Horton plans to bring a revitalization to the community, and I think it is highly needed. But the request to discard the carefully negotiated 2013 proffers with a new set of conditions aimed at a higher density development is something that unravels years of community input and planning, and the new proposal from D.R. Horton moves in the opposite direction of what was previously and thoughtfully approved. So the new zoning that introduces smaller lots and looser architectural standards is definitely something that is of concern to people who live in the community. Upholding the 2013 proffers is more about is about more than consistency. It's about protecting a process that prioritized public trust and planning integrity. Replacing the proffers with less stringent conditions benefits D.R. Horton financially, but does compromise the community's vision for sustainable and harmonious development as outlined in the city's One Future 2040 comprehensive plan. In regard to the EFIS, the exterior insulated finish system, I wasn't aware of that until that was just brought up by Ms. Moore, and I'm really glad that she did bring that up. That is a substantial concern in this area. As a realtor, I deal with houses that are being sold on a regular basis, and we constantly have issues with moisture issues. So there's even a section in the residential contract for purchasing real estate where you can opt to have a specific EFIS inspection. So it's that notable that people are given the opportunity to have that type of inspection. So I think that it is worth noting that that is potentially a very problematic material to be used. So I urge you to uphold the original proffers, understanding that there is definitely a need to review some of those for updated stormwater, sewage drain off, and public safety concerns. And I also understand that we do need additional housing in the area. But I do encourage the board, the commission, to uphold the original proffers with limited changes that, like I said, would address public safety issues and any stormwater drainage type of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who did not fill out a card but wants the opportunity to speak now?
Hello, my name is Melissa Bullion. I live at 32 Morrison Avenue, Newport News, Virginia, so I live directly in that neighborhood. I realize you have been addressing the railroad crossing. I wanted to add one more thing to that. It's been brought up that Port Warwick, oh, the train doesn't bother us, this and that and the other thing. They're not dealing with a railroad crossing. At 3 o'clock in the morning, it is against the law. The train has to blow the whistle at least 3 times. I live 3 streets away. I can hear that train. I can't imagine living on Tyler Avenue, and I can't imagine these houses being there. They're going to hear that train. I realize it's not in the budget. I realize it's been, that you're supposed to work on that, but it's like 2040. But this is something with traffic needs to be taken into consideration. And also that noise it's very loud. All times of the day, that coal train goes through. So it's just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak before we close the public hearing?
My name is Craig Kelly. I live at 111 Mistletoe Drive in Newport News. And I just want to mention that I'm for the project. I live close, like in Midtown area, so I've seen the development we've had in my area from CNU, from Christopher Newport College. I mean, the residential development, the retail development up and down Warwick is tremendous in that area, but it's fallen to the wayside in the area of Elm Avenue and Cedar. So I am for the project, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, I'm closing the public hearing and opening the issue to the board.
We've heard a lot of comments.
Gotta do a
Mr.
motion
Assistant
first.
Chair.
Do a motion first. You doing a motion?
Yes, I'm getting ready. I'm introducing my motion. Don't rush me. We've heard a lot of good proposals, and I've heard a lot of criticisms. In fact, if anybody wonders where the criticism department's located in the city, I'll give you my address. Send it there yesterday. I have received emails and a lot of phone calls. We still have some things to do. This is our last chance to make this right. I propose that we postpone taking a vote on this today for about 60 days. And that'll give us a chance to get everything else that we've heard in the past 3 weeks together and get with D.R. Horton and see what we can do about making this the perfect, well, nothing's perfect, but as good as we can make. That was my motion.
So what specifically is the motion?
Postpone the hearing.
Postponing 60 days,
Defer, so a deferral.
the vote.
Yeah.
Postpone the vote for 60 days.
So a 60-day deferral on CZ-2025-0002.
Correct.
Yes. I'm sorry, Sheila?
Oh, it needs to be deferred to a specific planning commission meeting. So if it's 60 days, that would be August the 6th.
Okay. Amend my proposal accordingly.
I have a question, Mr. Vice Chair, just as a point of order. Well, it doesn't have to be seconded, right? Because if it's not seconded, it doesn't carry.
Right.
Would it be ordinary for there to be an opportunity for the commission to have some dialogue and ask some questions in light of what we've heard before we entertain a motion? Like, isn't there typically an opportunity for the commission to respond, to ask questions of planning, there's usually an opportunity for some dialogue before the motion goes onto the floor that speaks to the request before us. Is that right, or am I missing something here?
I think you have to put the motion on the floor first, and then you have the conversation before the vote.
Okay.
And as part of that conversation, we can either amend that motion and move a different motion
Gotcha.
in place.
Okay.
So I would suggest, Vice Chairman, that I second the suggestion by my fellow commissioner as to postpone this to the August 6th date to be able to allow our commission and planning staff to thoroughly vet the concerns, meet with Mr. Rowe and his team, and be able to make this the best product moving forward. I'm in support of the builder, the developer. I'm in support of the exchange. I'm in support of the residential community. I just think that with all that we've heard and all the letters that we've received, we could tighten a couple things up and make this thing agreeable to all parties. That is my second.
Okay. Open for discussion?
Thank you. That's great. No, so my question was in relation to all the concerns regarding the railroad track. The railroad track was there in 2013, right? And so, and that plan received support from the community. So just for my own clarification, understanding, is there anything that's changed between now and 2013 that would make it less safe, less noisy? Has any of that changed? That's the part that I'm confused about with when, because I wasn't here when that agreement was made in 2013. Nothing's changed in regard to the railroad tracks, is that right?
That's correct. Nothing's changed with the railroad tracks. There were different, it was a different TIA, and there were different requirements with
Okay.
that TIA that was established in 2013 that dealt with the railroad crossing slightly differently. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. I'm just saying it
Sure.
was different.
Commissioner, I would add to that maybe there's a possibility of a reduction in traffic due to the relocation of the Amtrak station, which was not completed and
That's a good
under
idea.
use at that date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Any other further discussion?
I'll just make a comment that I think we went through a work meeting regarding this project. And since I've been on here, I think this particular property has come up before us twice. I don't know what 60 days are going to do to fundamentally change. I did speak and well, depending on this one, I did speak about maybe having a couple of neighbors involved in the design review as part of that committee. Like you said, not a whole bunch of people, but I think you had some people like from the Hilton Architectural Board to also be part of that process. I think everything else has been to the spirit of what 2013 was, which was 12 years ago. And I think we can move forward to make a decision. If we decide not to do it, then we decide not to do it. I don't think a deferral of another 60 days is going to fundamentally change minds of the people who were in opposition, in my opinion.
Okay, any further discussion?
I don't know that the 60 days is intended to make anybody change their mind about whether it's a go or not. The 60 days are an opportunity, our last opportunity to review everything that we would like to see done with Harvey Horton and see if we can come up with a project that we really all feel comfortable with. I haven't had a chance to really get into this. It's a big undertaking to do it and have anything else going on. And I've had other people voice the same concern. So that's my feeling. I don't think we're going to reverse anybody's opinion here. Now, there are some people who I know who are against it. They're not here, but there are some here, some who are here that I didn't anticipate being here too. So I think it's a great project, my personal opinion.
Any further discussion? Not, Ms. Brown, take roll.
Commissioner Woodard,
4.
Commissioner Michelle,
4.
Commissioner Williams,
Against?
Commissioner Dias,
Against.
Commissioner Black,
4.
Commissioner Bowditch,
4.
Commissioner Shook.
4.
Motion carries 5-2.
Everyone, thank you for your time. Next on the agenda is
Go ahead and get a conclusion that it's going to be deferred until
yes,
the...
the CZ 2025 TAC 0002 will be reheard by the board on August 6th,
By
2025.
Planning Commission. You can give everybody a minute to clear the.
Okay, moving on with our agenda. Executive Secretary report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
On July 16, 2025, the Planning Commission will hear 3 applications. One is a rezoning from C1 Retail Commercial to R8 High Density Multiple Family with proffers for the old Regal Theater site. Conditional use permit for a small motor vehicle repair and service facility at 9955 Jefferson Avenue is currently zoned C2 General Commercial. And a special exception for a lot, of course, that has less than 50 feet of frontage This is one of the smaller lots that we've seen. It's at 1155 24th Street. It's on R4 Single Family. We have no applications for June 18th, and the first meeting of July has been canceled. I believe in your bylaws, you canceled that meeting because of July 4th. If you want to have a work session on July 18th or June 18th,
I would
that's
anticipate,
totally up to you all.
yeah, the comment I would make, I would anticipate based on the motion that has been made today that we make use of that for this project unless there's any opposition. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure what opportunities that we'll have to make use of this delay.
Or a second to,
You don't have, you don't have to second it.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
a
we're
regular
just-
meeting, you're just
Right,
gonna
yeah.
have a work session.
Whereas, no, let me-
This is why I like you.
and therefore.
Okay, the only other thing I have is Legacy Square, which is an apartment building that's part of the CNI Marshall Ridley Choice neighborhood. At 1600 Jefferson Avenue, there will be a ribbon cutting tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. I hope to see some of you there, if not all of you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Sheila, can you repeat that address? I'm sorry.
Oh, 1600 Jefferson Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am.
There will also be a ribbon cutting Friday, June 18th for 2510 Jefferson
I heard the
Avenue.
voice change. I heard the voice change there.
I just want to also.
Right, I heard the voice,
That
okay.
will happen on
DJ
June
voice came out.
13th at 9 a.m.
Either DJ or community. I don't know which one it was.
Committee reports, any committee reports? The Regulations Committee hasn't met since the last Planning Commission meeting. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved?
With a motion for everything.
Second?
That's adjourned.
Motion to stand up.
Are you going to second it so I can get a vote? We're adjourned.
Let's go home.